Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kevin Lee Social. Thank you for tuning in. What initially began as an 8-part series interviewing entrepreneurs to share and inspire how they've successfully pivoted during COVID-19, I have decided not only to continue this series, but also to expand on the scope to understand and learn about people's craft, philosophy, the challenges they face in the industry, and their favorite failures that have helped shape them to become who they are today. By going deeper and understanding different thought leaders, businesses, and industries, the idea is to help cross-pollinate ideas applicable in your life and inspire action in this new norm we live in. I hope you enjoy the show. Thank you. Today we have Daniel Narvaez. He's one of my very good friends. I've known him for over 7 years now. He is the founder of Mr., a men's boutique wear located in the iconic Strand in Sydney, Australia. Daniel is one of the most dynamic and personal people I know. He's always fun to have a conversation with, and because of our relationship, I feel that we're able to get into deeper topics, and it's an amazing episode. I hope you guys enjoy the show. Thank you. Hey, my man, welcome back this week. Thank you for coming back onto the show.
Good morning, good morning. Thanks for having me, mate.
I've been looking forward to this for a while. I've always wanted to have you on, and here we are.
It was definitely unexpected, but no complaints here, no complaints at all. Thank you.
So I've known Dan for at least probably 6 to 7 years, I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And I wanted to give some context for the audience about your story. Well, first off, you own Mr., which is a iconic business in the iconic Strand. So let's start with how you came about that business and what that business is about first.
All right. Mr., as you mentioned, exists in the Strand Arcade. It's a menswear boutique. We concentrate on men's tailoring. Been around since, I always get this wrong, 2012. And it started as an accident. The truth is, the name Mr. was given to me by my brothers as a joke because they thought that I was always too serious, and they thought if I was ever to have a gangster name, it would be Mr. That then, funnily enough, there's obviously a more elaborate story to that, but that, funnily enough, became what I believe to be a smart name. And after initially launching as a small men's accessories brand, which didn't quite go too well because of numerous reasons and the GFC hitting, I had a couple of chance meetings with a few different individuals, which led me into the tailoring world, which was really cool because it was like the first time in my life that I was able then to lean in on my personal training and things that I really love, i.e. design and fashion.
Thanks for sharing that, Dan. I know that also previously, before getting into the tailoring boutique business,
yes,
you were in industrial design?
That's correct. Oh yeah, so I studied industrial design a million moons ago. Shout out to all the industrial designers, we're the best. But somehow didn't quite fall into the industry as well as I wanted to. As all young designers, you have these grandiose ideas of designing beautiful chairs and lounges and table settings and lights and showing at the Milan Design Week. Sadly, in Australia, you really only get to design street signage, council furniture, and if you're really lucky, a playground. So that wasn't quite the path that I took. I ended up working in finance, starting in very humble beginnings in the call center, as a lot of people do, and then making my way up to become a business analyst, which was a really tight 6 year career, which was amazing. That's where if anything, that's where I learned the negotiation of people. I cut my teeth in the melting pot that people call the financial industry. At those years, it was amazing, really formative, they were really cool, but the whole time, I was looking for avenues to exploit and use my design degree. So even when I was at the bank, I was doing design work for the bank. I was dabbling in web work. I was touching on the first parts of photography and just trying to build side hustles. Like everywhere I could, I was like, what if I design this? How much is it going to cost me to do this? But never quite getting anything over the line. Yeah. So that fervor or that hunger to be a designer was always there. Again, shout out to UWS, we're the best. Yeah, and that, funnily enough, the best part of 10, 12, 14 years after I studied design or started design, I ended up back in design, which was a bit wild.
Mm. And so was this a classic case of starting up something first? For example, you mentioned that you started a boutique accessories company first,
Yes.
and then you fell into tailoring.
Yes.
Was that one of those things where you start something up first, you get it going, and then you have to pivot because it didn't work, and then you fell into something else that
Pretty much.
pretty much carried the business?
Yeah, I'd say so. A bit of that, a bit of self-procrastination. A lot of, it's funny, even to this day, these are obviously you and Kevin, you and I speak about this a lot. It would have been a bit of, I truly believe now with a lot of hindsight, it was a bit of early entrepreneurialism. So seeing what was happening in the market and trying to move with it. A little bit of naivety in that when things didn't stick, well, thinking that things would stick faster than they actually did. Maybe a little lack of self-belief very early on in my career, which meant even though I'd get things to fruition, maybe not push them hard enough. Who knows? Maybe if I'd pushed them harder, then this conversation would have looked a little bit different. But then when I did finally push the button, guys, don't ever do this. It's the world's worst way to start a business. I sold everything I had, quit my job on 4 weeks notice, and decided to go straight into open a store, which I'd never done. I had no financial backing. I had zero savings. That's a lie. I tell this story because I laugh about it because I remember this number. I had $413.78 to my name the day I opened my store.
Wow.
Yeah. And as you've been there, you've got landlords knocking on your door asking for forward payment, people asking for payment of all the stock that you've bought off them, tradesmen just getting paid off. At the time, I had a mortgage, or mortgages, had phone bills coming out of my ears. I had a girlfriend who'd been very patient, wanting me to take her to dinner. Yeah, it was cool. It was great. It was a rush. So, so yeah, I don't know. It was that whole stop-start pivot. It's always reigned real because you need to move with times, right? And sometimes your intuition just tells you don't do it now and keep moving until you find what you think's right.
Yeah. Well, that's a crazy story, Dan. I didn't even know that part of the story, so it's great to hear it for the first time.
Yeah, there's a hidden part in there which was hilarious, which was getting a burner phone so that people couldn't contact me. It was great.
This is why I like doing these interviews. Even with friends, we get to go deeper into some of the topics that we don't usually discuss. So it's great. So you open your doors, $400 to your account, tradespeople, suppliers, everyone chasing you up.
Yes.
Clearly, you've made it to the other side because you're there 7 years later.
Yes.
Now, how did you go about expanding or growing that business? Because tailoring man's business to the normal eye, how did you position yourself differently?
Yeah, okay, cool. There's two parts to that story. The first part is I was extremely fortunate. I've been surrounded by amazing small business owners for the best part of my adult life, which was great. I'll shout them out right now. Courtesy of the artists. Guys, if you ever have the chance, look them up. This is an amazing couple. They're very dear to me, and they helped me cut my teeth in what was small business by basically opening their doors to me, opening their insight and really showing me what it took to grind and show that side of what it takes to be a small business owner. Again, contemporary jewelry gallery and stores. I used to, for a small time, I was front of house at this place, which is great. So that was cool. Then there was my very first suit, coincidentally, was featured in Harper's Bazaar Bridal. And I still don't know how that happened, but it did. It was literally the center page. And the best way to get referral is by publication. It was once upon a time. I'm starting to show my age. And then the last one was why I started this business. And it was because during the GFC, I went looking for work because I had to go back to conventional work for a short period of time. So I went in and walked into stores, which I will now call my peers. and I wasn't welcomed very nicely and or at all or given any service. They didn't know that I had a pocket full of cash. But I guess I wasn't dressed right for the day. Literally walked in and walked out of at least 3 establishments like a ghost. And I went, you know what? I reckon I can do this for everybody. So I instantly opened a store, and the ethos of the store has been, like, I guess if in a short part of that has been Mr. Mister is for everyone. Mr. Mister is everyone's space. We are all Mr. And the growth and the expansion over the last 7 years has been exactly the same. Mister's everyone's friend. We're all the same dude. Once you're in the doors, yeah, it's my store, but this is now our store. I do say this, and I think you've heard this from me. I can't do this without you, and you can do it without me. It just won't be the same. Yeah, I guess that's the foundation which Mr. Mister as a brand was always built on and will continue to be built on. I consider this my career, my family, my life, but it's also, so is everybody, every single client. It's always nice when you're walking down the street and you get shown a baby. And like, hey man, I'm like, oh my God, you got married? Oh yeah, of course you got married. I'm wedding suit. And then, oh my God, you got a baby. Oh, so cute. Obviously, I'm kissing as many babies now because we're all wearing face masks. But, or you're walking in a restaurant and some dude taps you on the shoulder and he's like, hey man, can I buy you a glass of wine? I'm like, oh my God, like, it's good to see you, Evan. How you been? Yeah, I don't know if I answered your question correctly, but I guess that's how I don't know how to be any other way.
Yeah.
And they say you shouldn't take your business too personally. But me, Kevin, I take everything personally. So, like, and not necessarily in a bad way. That's also a good thing, I believe. Yeah, and I try to push that through the brand and through my interactions with people, not only in these 4 doors, but extending outwards. If they're talking to me as Mister, then we're still doing the same thing. We're still having a good time, big smile, and trying to have a joke.
Mate, you're one of the most personable people I know. I can attest to your space. You're located in the Strand. The Strand is an iconic building in Sydney. It has some of the most amazing stores inside. I'm talking about boutique, but also can be very specialized, niche, and expensive.
Yeah.
It actually can be quite intimidating for some people to go shop there.
Yes.
And I grew up in the West, and then going to the Strand and looking for a shop is not the easiest of things. It's not something you can walk into and go, okay, walk around. People look at you differently. When I walked into your shop, you were very friendly. Conversation started very quickly. And hearing your story broke down the barriers, and it made me comfortable. It was easy to connect, and it made purchasing at the Strand that much easier.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I don't know, maybe it's, and vice versa. I think we hit it off pretty much straight away, which was really cool. But I think you touched on a very interesting point. This building was built, it was funny, it was built for humble artisans, but for the people that might not have been from our upbringing, because we are humble dudes from the West, which is totally cool. So being able to coexist in such an iconic space, which, if you look up its history, the Strand Arcade has always been about celebrating the artisan and the maker, right? All its history. This top floor where I exist, even though in the 70s was like accountants and stuff because no one really wanted to be in the city, has always been about jewelers and shoemakers, or cordwain is the correct way to say a shoemaker. A cobbler is a fixer. Tailors, dressmakers, designers. And then for a while, the Strand Arcade was the home of Australian fashion. You've got your Colette Denigans, pretty sure Alice McCall was in here, Lisa Ho, Alex Perry. There's some really cool ass Australian designers, which is really sweet. So I don't know, having this dude from the West as well, you know, St. Clair 2759, you know how it is.
It's funny how the West calls out the suburb, then the postcode.
100%. It's how it goes. It's invisibly tattooed behind my ear. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's really beautiful to think that this is the place that we call home.
Yeah. Mate, you do such an amazing, beautiful space. It's so lovely to be inside. The color tones, the way you've designed the space, it's very comforting. It's very conducive to conversation, put it that way, even the way you laid it out. So kudos to you, mate.
Thank you.
Now, you're not a one-trick pony. There is other things that you're involved in. I know that you have a record label with your brothers as well. Can you
Correct.
share a little bit about that and how that started all up?
Man, that story is really funny. It ties back into Mister, so I'll start there. I called my brother one day and I told him that I was going to start a suit company or a suit business. And he said to me, "What do you know about making suits?" I said, "I like to wear them." He said, "Sounds like a good idea, man." And so we started Mister. He was living in the States at the time. He'd been touring. He was a professional athlete, but at the time he was also playing music around America in his spare time in the in-betweens. Anyways, he tells me he's coming home, calls me up one day and he goes, "Danny," I said, "Yeah, what's up, man?" He goes, "I'm thinking of starting a record label." I said, "What do you know about running a record label?" He goes, "I like playing music." I said, "Mate, that sounds like an amazing idea." And it was 2 months apart. So these two conversations happened very close together. So yeah, he came back to Australia, started a record label. Invariably, I became, you can ask him as to my role. It seems to change every day. But invariably, I became a silent business mentor and or some level the creative director of the label. And it's cool. It's called Refuge Recordings. It's a beautiful little underground house music record label which celebrates artists from all around the world. Our notoriety locally is not as large as it is internationally. Kudos in that case need to go to my brother Oscar, who has traveled Miami, Spain, London, freaking Edinburgh, annual parties in Amsterdam, annual parties in Madrid, releases from some of what we would call the godfathers of house music, which are guys that we used to pay to go watch. And now we sit down and have lunch with them on the odd occasion. And in his case, lunch and then dinner and then partying, which is like ridiculous. Because yeah, it's such, again, humble beginnings, and we used to chase these guys around. And now we're like rubbing shoulders and like, "Hey man, how you doing? What have you been up to?" Sending text messages and just having a good ass time. But yeah, house music is I don't know, it's a labor of love. It's a passion project. It's a passion to me. It's definitely a successful project. But yeah, we do definitely live in that world.
Man, that is so awesome. Like looking up to these idols, and then one day you're right next to them and you're enjoying each other's company and having a great meal.
I'm forever a fan. Like I think the older I get, and the older that I get, the more of a fan, because you start to respect the hustle, the amount of times, the adversity. You start to really realize what it took for them to get there, you know, because I don't know, maybe we're still, at least I know I'm still trying to carve that path myself. For these guys to become pioneers, they would have been aliens, or like any pioneer, like coffee pioneers, fashion pioneers, design pioneers, music pioneers. These guys would have been complete nut jobs in their time. And for them now, in 20, 30 years into their career, now they're relaxing, but then they're not resting on their laurels. I don't know. I'm baffled every day about how people do that. Yeah.
So a long-term game for them. Like they're not in it for the success of the first 5 years or the first 2 or 3 years. They had to cut their teeth and make the mistakes and go through the hardships, playing at gigs where there's nobody there and so on, until they made it.
What is that question? How many times have you quit? Like,
yeah,
theoretical. What do I call it? Yeah, theoretically speaking. But how many times have you given up? And sometimes you hear these guys' stories because we're obviously sharing general conversation. And you're like, "Yeah, man, I packed my bags and went home and I threw everything in the bin." Like, that's how I started Mr. I quit. I literally quit. And the next day I got a phone call from the leasing manager of the Strand Arcade. The very next day.
how fate would have it.
Right.
Now, you know, of course, you're being in the Strand and segueing to COVID and its effects.
Yes.
How has COVID affected you during this whole process with both your businesses as well as now? Because we're still going through it. It's not like it's finished. So we're still going through this as we record this at the moment.
Yes, mate, that's where I was going to start. It's still affecting our business. And this isn't just to small business owners, it's to everybody. We are going through arguably the most challenging time of our modern life, as in our era. So it's not something we need to take lightly. We can take lightly the way we've worked through our souls, because obviously we can't sit there and mope and be upset every single day. We need to keep pushing forward. This is definitely something that we're still living through, even up until just yesterday, those restrictions placed in our city. But we are doing a lot better we're living a lot more comfortably than a lot of the world. So we have to be very thankful for that. As a business, we're still going through it. So the pivot last year was very painful because a lot of small business retailers, we were closed with no end in sight. I tell this story fondly. One of my favorite parts of the day was I was legally allowed to go get a coffee. So I would walk to arguably the furthest coffee shop from my apartment, which was yours. And you can take my 1 hour daily exercise, which I was allowed to do, and go sit on your curb and have a coffee, which was great. We've somewhat come out the other side of what was those forced restrictions and forced lockdowns, and we're still pivoting, but we're still pushing forward. For the grace of God, I've got some amazing clients, which is great. So guys are coming back, which is cool. The pivot is still happening. There is a few projects on the boil. A lot of people rushed, I believe, to get things over the line. I'm a serial procrastinator as well as entrepreneur. But, to me, the pivot was always about how do I respect my client that has been there from the start, and what is this going to look like for that guy for when he comes back, and woman, hopefully, because I'm working on a bit of that too. So yeah, the projects have been based on that. Casual wear in all over the world has somewhat taken a step forward, but smart casual and the definition of business wear, I don't believe will ever change. I strongly believe we should always dress, and there's a level of correctness. Sorry guys, you can't see my hands, but I'm doing a quote unquote correctness. Bit tongue in cheek, like a beautiful sports jacket will never go amiss. A nice pair of trousers and a nice shirt will never go amiss. So that's, as opposed to selling just suits, we are definitely opening up what things look like. You touch on the music industry. I have to speak on their behalf only because they're so dear to me, and despite working a little bit detached from that because I work more in the rag trade, the music industry has been completely decimated by this, and we really need to take a minute to think about them. That the record label used to tour artists. I don't think we're going to tour artists for the foreseeable future. When people start talking about 2023, I'm like, wow, that's a really hard way to forecast a bit. The projects in that space have to be a bit more creative. What's been really beautiful in Australia, obviously that's all I've been able to see, is this movement of local artists. Guys that were once international artists are now local artists doing weekly gigs, and that's cool. Guys that you wouldn't be able to see or had no access to are really pushing to be able to be seen, by local hunters. So that's really nice. But that industry's suffered more than I think society is able to know, just because a musician's livelihood is based around going out and playing music. A real simple equation. Not being able to do that means, and that could be anybody from the dude playing jazz at the local pub and singing for us, and you never really pay attention to that guy, but he's just sitting in the background playing music, running his own business, and you're just enjoying it, playing covers, like a 5-piece band, to orchestras playing at Sydney Opera House, to DJs like what we deal with, guys doing bar gigs all the way to playing nightclubs. That whole industry is hopefully recovering, but we'll see what happens there, man. I don't know. I'm quite passionate about finding solutions as to how we can plug holes in between general society and other industries. You and I have this conversation a lot, so it's always really nice. And it's funny when we sit down, we'll end up going and trying to talk about one thing and end up solving the world's problems somewhere else. But yeah, the pivot's been interesting because the most important thing, and I don't know, this is like business 101. The most important thing for any business owner is be open, stand up tall, and just turn up every single day. That's half the struggle, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's where we started. I said, you know what? I'm not going to lose. I'm not going to lose because I didn't fight. I'd rather go out with 2 black eyes, a broken leg, and some busted up hands. It's almost our responsibility to kind of show, to stand up and to push forward and to lead from the front with our masks on and our hands clean and all of that. But I don't know, I do see it. I don't know, maybe it's just the old man in me that thinks he needs to stick up for the little kids. Yeah, I don't know if I answered your question correctly. But.
No, absolutely. Dan, with your years of experience in running your business, and 7 years is not a small feat, and a massive kudos and congratulations to you there again.
Thank you.
What are some key lessons that you've learned or you could share with us?
Oh, number 1, turn up every day. Easy. It is the most difficult thing to do. Sometimes you don't want to get out of bed. Sometimes you're tired. We've all had that. Forget this, I quit. It's stupid. No, it's not. It's great. You're courageous. Wake up, stand up, go have a cold shower, knock yourself about the head a bit, turn up to work. That's it. You'd turn up to work if it wasn't your business.
Absolutely.
You were employed by your boss and you didn't turn up to work 5 days in a row because you were having a sook, you'd get the sack. So that's number 1. Number 2, brand is everything. And, you know, why I say that is be proud of it. And if you're not, change it. But brand is everything. Live it, breathe it, dream about it, flip it inside out, turn it upside down. And if it looks the same, it's yours. Talk about it. Yell from the top of the freaking mountains who you are every single day, because brand is everything. I can't stand young business owners that don't tell you what they do. It really bothers me. Like, like you're sitting at dinner and the guy sitting next to you has got like a shoe brand or like a cafe or a restaurant, and he's just sitting there, or girl or woman or whoever sitting next to you, and they're quiet. And I'm like, and we've finished dinner. I'm like, what do you do, man? Yeah, I supplied the wine. Why didn't you say so? Like, you know, like, it really bothers me. I don't know. Isn't that you're not proud of what you do? Like, you've seen me in action, man. I deliberately test myself sometimes to see how many business cards I can give out in a day. Because you are your own megaphone, right? So be proud of who you are and be proud of how you do it. Get a good accountant. Everyone, do your taxes. It's important.
Don't get hit with a tax bill. Okay.
Man, talking to the world. When I joke about being a designer, and I definitely was. I should never have been in finance. I learned nothing about money being in finance. I'm definitely a creative. So pay your bills, guys. But yeah, I can't harp on about those. The first 2. Like, talk about that.
Yeah.
Be your brand. Be proud of who you are. Be your brand and turn up. It says worlds about you. Just being able to get out of bed and getting there. Yeah, I always say it's the toughest battle.
Now, you brought up some really great points there, and I commend you for turning up for the last 7 years.
Oh, yeah. Man, I don't know. Where else was I going to be? at Brewistas or the Mayflower? Shameless plug. Yeah,
you're one of the few guys that I know that are in complete alignment with your brand. You represent your brand from head to toe.
Thank you.
You represent a boutique men's tailoring business, and you look the part. You talk the part.
Thank you.
You breathe the part every time I see you. There's never a time where I catch you off.
Yeah, same to you though, man. Oh, here we go. Sorry, I'm going to add to that last point. Another thing about small business, support your mates. I know this is funny. Kevin and I have a really amazing relationship because we've been able to work on this for years. But it literally came because Kevin was a client of mine. And so he walked in and he bought some stuff off me. And I liked that. And obviously what was supposed to be a 45-minute consultation went for 3 hours. And he told me about this cafe that he was going to launch. And so I was with my partner at the time and I said, hey, I think my client's opening this cafe in Glebe. We should go visit that. She's like, yeah, let's do that. And it became like our every fortnight Sunday spot. And support your mates, man. Yeah. And not because you can get stuff from them. No, support them because they got staff to pay and like they do amazing work. And because if it sucks, don't do it, obviously. you can say that to them quietly offline. But no, support your mates. It's in small business, it is everything, I think. Well, it's just nice to get that pat on the back.
Right with you. Support your mates. Then I wanted to dig in a little bit deeper about the first 2 points that you shared.
Yes.
And let's start with turning up. Now,
Yes.
You said that's half the battle. And it is true. There are times where, whether it's your own business or you're working with someone else, you just don't want to get out of bed.
Yeah.
And you just don't want to turn up. How do you get yourself mentally around it?
I've got a couple of different ways. The first one is I'll roll around in bed and read soccer news for a while. I'm a huge football fan. And so I'll literally just read the news for a while. It's a nice way to break wherever my head was because it was cold or whatever, right? That's probably the worst way to prepare for the morning. The other way is get up, get vertical. I've been doing it for years. I didn't realize, I knew you were going to ask me something like this. So I was like, what do I do? And I didn't even realize that this was my thing. I'll sit at the end, somehow for the last, 20, 30 years, I've always had a mirror at the end of my bed. So I'll sit at the end of my bed and I'll just look in the mirror. And just do a bit of a reflection session. Doesn't matter if you're looking good, looking bad, just take a look at yourself. The thing I learned years ago was the most important thing that any man can do, or woman, sorry guys, but this is the way the story went, is be able to look at yourself every single day. So I start the day that way. And just prep, give yourself a stare down. You're going in a fight with that guy, right? So imagine you were Mike Tyson. So you're like, I got you, let's do this. After a minute, any self-doubt is out the window because you realize how amazing you are. Right? Stand up, have a big stretch, go have a cold shower. If you've ever spoken to Kevin, he'll tell you to have a cold shower. It sucks. It is the worst. I don't know why I do it. I do it because Kevin told me so. That's why I do it. It is the worst. But I'll go have a cold shower, shave my head every day, and then it starts. And that's it. Pick an outfit, shirt, tie, jacket, trousers. Yeah, get out the door. I don't know, part of that routine, it's funny. And it's just constant reminder. Yeah, just keep, wake up and go, you're going to nail today, man, every day. You're going to nail it. Get in there. Today's a good day. You're going to nail it. Get in there. Get in your own head. I've got a very abnormal way of thinking in the morning. But yeah, I just like to remind myself that I'm pretty awesome. And that I'm going to have a good day and everything's going to be beautiful and you're going to make someone smile and someone's going to smile at you and you're going to enjoy your coffee and nothing's going to go wrong because you said everything's going to be great. And then part of my daily routine or my ritual is look good. Even when you feel bad, here we go, little insight, Kev. When I feel the worst, I dress the best.
Right, here we go. Some juicy.
Because I'm like, you know what? I feel, we all wake up, we all feel yuck. It's winter at the moment. It's cold. No one wants to really get up. Let's be serious. This sucks. I'd be in bed right now. Probably. I'd be like, I don't know, doing emails or something. So you're not feeling it. Man, if you walk out the door feeling $1 million, the amount of smiles that you can get as long as you've got a smile on your face is ridiculous. Right? Now, to think that the power of something as simple as the way you dress makes someone else smile, that shit's amazing, right? So all of that space where I'm like, I don't want to get out of bed and I'm feeling yuck is gone because all of a sudden you're sending so much energy into that universe and it's just hitting you straight back in the face. And this was purely on the basis of how you looked. That shit's funny. I reckon it's freaking hilarious. So it'll flip on you real quick. Yep. All that yuck and all that, I don't want to get out of bed. Today's yuck, it's raining. Man, it's gone in about 2.5 minutes. So yeah, I don't know. Look good, feel good. Sounds very vain.
No, I love that perspective, Dan, because it's not the usual way of thinking, like dress so that you can impress others. I love your thought process of look great to put a smile on others' face. It's
Yeah,
like
man.
service to others, and in a way, that's how you give value. But in a way, it's also in complete alignment with your brand, which is why it works so well for you, I think.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I like to look like, obviously, like looking good. I don't know. It feels nice to look good. And it was said to me many years ago, and I don't know, a lot of people don't necessarily agree with this sentiment, but someone said to me, by me, and it was the way they were speaking of themselves, they said, by me not looking good to you, I'm disrespecting you.
Hmm.
And I was like, that's a really noble way of going. Yeah, that was a really nice thing to say. Like the sentiment behind that, I think, was quite noble. I was like, oh yeah, I think I get that. So it's, me turning up looking like a slob in front of you means I don't respect you.
Hmm.
And so it was, again, we can take that however we wish, but it was just an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
But then I realized that there was deeper layer, and it became part of the daily ritual. And I was like, that's mad. I'm going to use that, or at least elements of it, not completely. It's obviously not exactly how I feel, but it was interesting. I don't know. It was interesting to me. I could be wrong.
No, thanks for sharing that. Your routine, Dan, and your perspective on how to get around those tough days.
Yeah.
So let me get this right. We've got looking in the mirror, some self-talk,
Yeah.
looking great, shave your head. That's the part I'm missing right there. Got to get into that. And how do you get your head so shiny, Dan?
Every day I shave my head. That's part of the routine. I shave my head in the shower. Probably shouldn't. It's a bit of wasting water. Sorry, water. No one heard that. I shave with no water. No. Just part of the thing. I don't know. I've been shaving my head. I wasn't bald when I started shaving my head, funnily enough, but now I'm completely bald. Like there's no chance hair's growing on this head. And no, I don't. And don't know I don't want plugs. I look really good with a shaved head. It's my thing.
They look amazing, Dan.
But yeah, just part of the. I'd some people shave their faces.
Yeah.
Because then I shave my head. It's quite therapeutic. Then I'll go out into the living room, have a stretch. Sometimes, like, I'd like to lie and say I do this every day, but I don't. Like, I'll either go to the gym, then come home, have a stretch, or I'll sit on the floor for 10, 15 minutes, just chill it out, do some lazy breath work, i.e. just bring that soul down a bit. And it always happens after a shower. I don't know. You try and do it. If you go to the gym and then come home and try and relax and you're dirty, I can't do that. So, but it's weird. That shaving of the head process is quite therapeutic. Yeah.
Cleansing process.
Probably. I'm just like, I don't know, peeling some skin away or something. I'm going to have to think about that one. I've never really worked that one out. That's interesting.
Mate, I wanted to dip into the second point as well about brand is everything.
Yes.
And I'm a strong believer as well that brand plays such a huge part of running any business.
Yes.
What are some of your tips in branding? Or what are some of the strategies or tactics that you use personally?
Cool. Number one, don't fake it. You'll get smelled out a mile away. Disingenuous, is that the word? Ingenuine? Anyways, if you're lying, you've used this one. You can't, like, you're trying to sell oil to a snake oil salesman, right? And you can't fake a hustler. We've been doing this for too many years. So be who you are. If it feels fake, it's going to come across as fake. If it feels forced, it's going to come across as forced. So work on deeper levels as to why this is your brand. Now, if it's your brand because you want to be a business owner, or you want to be an accountant, or you want to be a singer, or you want to be the best, I don't know, actuary in your company, brand, it's still your brand, right? Not that we're commodities, because we're not, but your brand is somewhat your personality. And in a professional sense, that we are every day our own living brand. Depending on how you see me, I'm not always on brand, so to speak. I'm a pretty relaxed dude after 7:30 p.m. and a couple of whiskeys. But yeah, just man, like I've been really fortunate to be around and surrounded by a lot of people, many older than me, many younger than me, many business owners, very successful lawyers. I don't know, it's weird. My father was a musician. I had ended up I joke that I've been in nightclubs since I was 14, but it's a thing. So the amount of people that I've met in my life is ridiculous. So you start to really learn how people carry themselves, why they carry themselves, how they do things, why they do things. Some guys invest in their brand holistically, and it's a bit of a show. So it's like they put on a mask, leave the house, and then come back and take that mask off. I don't agree with doing that because, again, that's a bit of hiding in plain sight, and that doesn't seem like fun. But, I guess what I was alluding to is all of those meetings and all of those things have really helped me study how to be genuine, stop faking the funk if that's what it is. So yeah, invest in your person, man. Do breath work, read books, listen to podcasts. I don't know, become vegan. I don't know. Sorry, shout out to all the vegans out there. You guys are cool.
Good job out there.
Sorry, that's like an inside joke between Kevin and I. It's like running. It's been running for a while. I don't know, explore yourself and explore who you want to be. Like as a business, that's really easy. Like when people go to me, I want to do this, my first question is why? And if the answer is money, I'm like, cool, man, go to university, get yourself an economics degree and go work at a hedge fund because it's the easiest way to make money. If you want to, and the people are like, but you're in business. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing this because of money. If you're in business because of money, like you're silly. Like, go become an accountant. I don't know. Go do something that's not this because there is more passion and there is more necessity and drive and fulfillment that is needed from being a small business owner than just making cash. I don't know. I might be wrong. Again, some guys seem to do it really well. That's just my way of thinking. But yeah, the whole brand thing, I don't know, man, explore yourself. It's so important. And mess it up. Sorry, I was about to swear. I just realized mess it up, get it wrong. I was like, we were kids. You dressed however the hell you wanted. We all became teenagers and like wore terrible clothes. I don't know, man. If you see 16-year-old me, I was a lad. I was horrible. And then 17-year-old me thought he was like a Backstreet Boy or some shit. I don't know. And then started wearing suits when I was at university. And I was like, what? I don't know. Then I thought I was an athlete. I don't know. When we were kids, we were naive enough to experiment with who and what we looked like. And all of a sudden we became adults and we forgot how to be kids again. Yeah, like brand, again, back to what that opening statement is. It's a fulfillment of you, right? So the truer representation of you that you can be.
I wanted to see your perspective on this as well. Do you think personal brand and business brand can be separate in today's day and age?
Yes and no. So no, because social media. Again, people are like, I don't do social media. I'm like, well, that sucks. Yeah, in the past, I've toyed with this idea of, can we have the invisible CEO? I've spoken to you about this. You know, the idea of, the only guy I know that still exists like this is Banksy, right? So he's like the world's most successful artist that no one's ever seen. But that's built on the fact that he's a graffiti artist, so it's cheating. Yeah. Can you be the world's best recording artist without being visible? I'm not sure you can anymore, unless there is a persona created or a visual created, because we're such a visual society. So, yeah, I really badly answered that. Can you? I hope so. I don't know. I'd like to think that you could. But again, I'm just a humble small business owner. Like at this stage, I run my business from inside my store and I run all the businesses that I'm associated with from my being. So I guess I'm the biggest business. If I was a larger organization, then I'd probably have, I don't know, a marketing dude and then a social media dude and then a HR dude, and they'd be running around being me. So yeah, I'm sure there's a way to do it. In my case, there isn't.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. Like, I like looking like Mr. It's cool. Right.
It is cool.
No, like,
That's one of those dapper guys I know. He's really cool.
I just have this like really funny idea of in like when I'm 70 still kicking around in a suit and people are like, hey, you're Mr. I'm like, yeah, man, still doing that shit.
You're gonna be the coolest 70-year-old walking around. I'll tell you that.
Hope so, man. Hope so. I don't know. By then, maybe suits won't be cool anymore. We'll be walking around in space suits and stuff, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? But
Actually, I can already envisage you. I've had this customer, regular customer down the road that lives down the road in Darlinghurst, and he's a super dapper guy. He's got this cool, with this amazing hat. It was always suited up. We call him the Godfather. He's really cool.
What a legend. Yeah, I don't know if I answered that. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe like, yeah, certain businesses, surely you can exist incognito to your business if you choose to build it that way.
I'm going to ask a question that I haven't really dived into area before.
Okay.
And that will be or can you share with us a pivot scene in your life? And a pivot scene meaning, if you were to think of a movie where there's a particular scene where it changes the whole game for the protagonist.
Oh man, I can tell you this one. It's a bit personal, so everyone get your tissues out. But yeah.
Alrighty.
My life happened like that. So all right. I was 27. I was in finance. And I said, I'm going to gun for this. I'm going to smash this. I'm going to become a senior business analyst. I'm going to nail this. I'd bought more than a few properties. I was sitting on a little bit of a property portfolio, which was really cool. I was planning my life, my future life. And then I get a phone call, and it was my father calling from hospital, telling me that I needed to come see him immediately. I get to hospital, and Dad's been diagnosed with cancer, with brain tumors, to be specific, and we were pretty much at the end of it. I left work straight to the hospital and ended up spending, 60 days or something with him. And then what proceeded to be the next 2 years. The bank at the time was amazing. They supported me all the way through and then went, what? You can't keep not coming to work. And I quit. I took a 2-year sabbatical to find my brand, find my design life. It was a complete, man, up until that point, me and my dad had properties and we were like doing well. Like Dad was young. He was in early to mid 50s. So, you know what, in the next 10 years, we'll be chilling because, property market was going through the roof in 2009 and we're very well placed. Unfortunately, that's the universe said to me, nah, man, this is too easy. We're going to challenge you a little bit. And I was like, thanks, dude. So in that 2-year sabbatical, where, like I mentioned, this beautiful company called Courtesy of the Artist, they opened their doors and I spent just under 18 months with them, 6 months on my own, rediscovering how to become a designer or if I could become a designer. I'm still not even sure if I'm a designer, to be completely honest. It's something that I work on daily. Yeah, and that's where Mr. Mister was born. Like when I quit work that time, well, I didn't quit work. We parted ways with mutual consent, which was great. Yeah, I'd left my finance and my professional-minded life behind and moved into my full discovery or full-fledged push into what is small business. And somewhat haven't looked back since. It was, you know what, this is what I'm going to make my life. As a young 39-year-old now, it was probably not the smartest financial decision to make. It's been a great life. But yeah, it was cool. And still, I don't know, man, like it was a plunge that was forced upon me, obviously because of dire family issues and health. But I was privileged enough to become a full-time carer for my father in the last years of his life, which was great. I was challenged to really look inside and question every single part of my being. I had some very colorful words with many priests. Shout out to all the priests. Sorry, it's nothing personal. And yeah, you start to really think about your faith, what you're doing, how you're doing it, why you're doing it, and what it's going to look like if you're going to keep doing it. So the pivot was, I chose my life. That was cool. Again, this was mine. I don't ever say to people, come and do it that way. This was mine and yours is yours, and the way yours fits is the way that was right for you. But yeah, this pivot just seemed right. Again, I don't know. There was a bit of a FU to my family as well, because maybe I was supposed to be the safe eldest son and I decided not to. And I went, you know what? I'm going to go have a good time and be on the front cover of Forbes magazine by the time I'm 30 years old. Obviously, that didn't happen. But yeah, like sorry, that was the start of this whole journey. Like it happened when I was 28 years old.
Thank you so much for sharing that beautiful story.
Oh, thank you, man.
I know it hits very close to home for you, and it's a very emotional story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's not that emotional. It's just fun.
It's incredible how, whether fortunate or unfortunate, those events happen in people's lives, and it really gets you to check in and reconsider everything.
Yeah.
And for some, COVID was the event as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Put a pause and standstill in so many people's lives to really think about themselves and where they're heading and what they're doing with their life. That's a great check-in point.
Yep.
All right, let's change up the tone.
We got a bit emotional. It's actually quite.
You've mentioned before you've been featured on Harper's Bazaar.
Yes.
There's many other publications that I could list over your 7 years.
Man, I've got to start that again. I haven't been in a newspaper for a while. Come on, guys. Publicists out there, give me a yell. I've got a lot to say.
And it's nothing to sneeze at to be featured in those prominent spaces.
Yeah.
And of course, it hasn't always been that way.
No.
Do you have a favorite failure that has set you up for later success?
Oh, fuck yeah, man. Oh, shit. All right. That's interesting. Yeah, apart from that story, losing houses, don't do it, guys. It sucks. For real. Oh, yeah. This one's interesting. I lost a relationship, which was quite dear to me. And that was really cool. But the favorite one was Almost Mr. a couple of years ago. And this will be an interesting one because this is why I doubled down in who I am. And it's probably around the time that we got talking. Yeah, I almost lost the business because of just not dealing with my own mental space. People don't know this. A lot of people don't know this. But yeah, I just wasn't dealing with how the world was moving. It's probably gone about 4 or 5 years ago. 4 or 5 years ago. And it began to spiral, just mentally more than anything. And I don't know. Met this dude, Kevin, who told me to go read this book about Deepak. He sounds cool. Read this book. And then he's like, hey, Danny, do you want to go jump in cold shower? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. And started this journey of self-discovery and all that kind of business, which was really cool. But that's probably it. I don't know. Man, this is going to sound super obnoxious, but I've used this line a million times. I got called out by this young kid. He was a little snot-nosed kid, 19 years old. And he was doing really well, which I was patting him on the shoulder. And he said to me, Danny, how are you going to become rich? I said, I'm not trying to become rich, man. I'm trying to retire one day. He's like, yeah, but no one knows who you are. And I was like, ooh, that hurt my ego. I was like, damn, that's a bit harsh. Do you even know what publications I've been listed? Obviously, he didn't care. And I've sharp-tongued back to him. I said, my man, I've had more L's than you've had W's. Put that one in your pocket, have a think about it, and come and talk to me about it tomorrow. And I walked away. And I didn't think anything more of it until he came back and spoke to me. And it was really, it was bizarre. He walked in my doors and I said, hey, man, what are you doing here? And he said, that was really harsh. And I said to him, excuse me? And he goes, you've had more L's than I've had, more losses than I've had wins, and you're winning. I'm like, well, I said, man, life's it's a series of losses, right? And the win is the one that comes after that. And the win is the tomorrow or the yesterday. So I don't know. We joke about it. Fall on your face 15 times. I don't know. Fall on it 20 times, 100 times. It doesn't matter. And we've all heard this, guys. I'm going to sound like a self-help book, but it doesn't matter how many losses or failures you have. The failure is all it's doing is teaching you how to stand up again. He or she who is the weakest is the one that doesn't stand up. And the truth is the only person that you've got to prove that to is yourself. So
Amen to that.
You've got to beat yourself, your own expectation. Or sometimes, I don't know. Yeah, some people say to me, oh, success isn't all about money. In business, it is. If you haven't got any, working and it's not winning. So you got to rethink what you're doing. But yeah, I don't know. I've got, not one particular one stands out apart from that little one that I touched on before, which was then just leads to keep challenging, keep failing forward. I don't know. I like to fail. I like to be proven wrong. I joke about it. Until you tell me that I'm wrong, it means I'm right. So unless, of course, it's scientific or it's like factual, in which case Google it and then tell me I'm wrong. Like, happy to be challenged every single day.
Thank you, Dan. Do you have any exciting projects coming up in 2021? Let's talk projects. I know that you're excited about a few things. Let's get it out there.
Hells yeah. Man, Mr.'s moving forward. So working on a few things within the business here. I launched this mental space project 2 years ago, but I wasn't quite ready for it, where we joked about Mr. being the king of jackets. Did I just say that? So there'll be an expansion on what I call the jacket, or as I've always referred to it, as the modern uniform, the modern being post-COVID and moving into the next world. So there's a lot happening just in that space. I don't think it'll be completely groundbreaking, but that's not what it's supposed to be. It's about informative and educational. We should all have access as to how to do things and why to do things. And I realized a lot of people just don't know. So watch this space. There might be some really interesting little projects happening within the Mr. informative world. I'm working on a second brand, which somewhat correlates with my record label or with the record label. So that's interesting. I've been working on that project for years. I joke about wanting to own a soccer team. So I'm like, you know what? I might just make one up. And clothe it and do that. I've always wanted to be a multidisciplinary designer. I'm an industrial designer, so that's what we're taught to be. So I'm trying to expand on Mr. and starting a brand, or started a brand called Real Fine Goods. It will be a collaborative project. So I'll be reaching out to you. I'll be reaching out to anybody that's listening to this. If you want to collaborate, give me a call. We're literally going to create real fine goods. The beauty of having a sharp mouth and being everywhere all the time is that I've met not millions, that's a lie, a lot of producers, artists, artisans. And I went, you know what, now's the time to get working and start putting our heads together and really start pushing some stuff out. So Real Fine Goods, I guess we'll start pushing through that. We've got the record label, that's doing its thing, it's chugging along. I never thought I'd be involved in trying to run a nightclub night. Don't do that, 39-year-old kids. But my brother and I, and then my brother's business partner, are doing really beautiful things in the entertainment space, which is really nice. Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm doubling down on Mr. and Real Fine Goods at the moment. Yeah. Real Fine Goods is an acronym, which was RFG, which is the acronym for Refuge Recordings, hence the tie-in.
Gotcha.
Correct. And that was, again, a sharp mouth, me being sharp mouth. And someone's like, what do you do this? I don't know. I make really fine goods. Bang. So we got that. But yeah, I guess that's all happening right now. So that's what's happening in the immediate future.
Mate, I'm so looking forward to your new line of jackets as well as Real Fine Goods. I'm looking forward to, seeing your journey with that. I always have been following you closely.
Yeah, man. We're here. We're still here.
The next question. Are there any new beliefs or behaviors that have had a positive impact in your life in the recent years?
Are you kidding? Oh, yeah, these people don't sing on a weekly basis. Yes, 100%. Guys, there's this group called Beyond Meditation, and you got to try it. No, all right. No, in all seriousness, yeah, I don't know. I used to think I was going to be that Wall Street kid. And I don't know why, because I never even worked on like Wall Street. And I was never going to, but I always believed that. I was an 18-year-old kid that read Money magazine too much and always wanted to get out of the burbs. So I built this bullshit persona around how I was going to succeed. In recent years, I broke down all those walls. I don't know what they were built on. That's probably a conversation for another time. But so I started to really become insular, and not on a ridiculously overly nuts method. I'm probably the least conventional spiritual thinker of all time. Maybe not, but in terms of the way I think. So I just started questioning everything, but in a good way. Hey, Jesus, what up, man? Like, what's your problem? And just start questioning all of my own, here we go. Questioning, but not stopping to believe. So I still believe, man. It's Most Def, to reference my favorite rapper of all time, once opens a song, said, the good things in life comes to those who believe. So I believe. So I started living by that and finding all the ways that I can further my belief in spirituality, my belief in success, my belief in love, health, who I am. I started reading a bit, Not as much as I should. I'm a terrible. Started experimenting with my own creativity, experimenting with my own musical path, talking to a lot of people. Yeah. And so that practice is just, I was told by my mom that I was always like quite inquisitive and forever asking questions. And I guess I started doing that again, but on a more full-on level. I started breathwork, guys. However you choose to find meditation or a level of patience and solace in your own self, do it. I found it through breathwork, and I'm finding it through breathwork. I'm finding it through transcendental meditation. I'm finding it through my nightly bedtime routines, which is literally just, I still go through a 20-minute guided meditation before it's bedtime. It's just what I do. That was my solution. But yeah, I don't know. I think everyone should do it. Something. I don't know. Even if the gym. I don't know. I've been working out more. I look great. Like, I've probably been in the best physical shape I've looked at in my whole life, which is cool.
You do look
Peaking
great.
Peaking at 39 is not bad, man. It's pretty cool.
And you're going to be peaking at 70.
I don't know, when you like were a kid and you'd go to the beach and you'd see some jacked 50-year-old and you'd like, man, what the hell? Like, I want to be that guy. Like, I want to be that guy. Like, kids, man, he's huge and he's got a gray beard. Like, yeah, man, you're wrong. I'm 60, whatever. I don't know. There's something cool about that. Or like when your grandparents or someone, you couldn't open the jar and then some old dude uncle would just walk in and go, whatever, man. I want to be that guy. I don't know. These are all funny little things that live in my brain. I don't know. I'm giving you guys way too much insight as to how ridiculous. But yeah, I don't know. Recent times, yes, breath work, meditation, and just internal thinking and healing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't met my inner child yet, but I really haven't asked. So maybe it's because I'm still a child. We're over 10 years old.
To one of my favorite ending questions.
Yes.
If you could only send one single line of SMS text to yourself 5 years ago, what would it be?
You're amazing. That's it.
You freaking are amazing, Dan.
Man, like, we all are. I don't know. We beat ourselves up. Like, it was funny. I'm going to let you in on, I didn't tell you this. I saw Kevin last night, guys, and we went through our nightly class, and everything was built on pushing energy out into the world. And I asked a question to myself, and the answer I got was very different to what I was asking. But the answer was really cool. So I don't need to tell you the question, but the answer was just chill, be happy, and respect yourself, man. So we spend so much time beating ourselves up for some ridiculous reason, comparing ourselves to our next door neighbors, like the whole keeping up with the Joneses crap, when the most amazing person that you know is actually standing in front of you every single day. You woke up today, you took a walk in your shoes, you beat the day. Not your brother, your sister, your cousin, your mom, your dad, your auntie, your uncle, your freaking grandparents. You did. And for some reason, we lose that somewhere because you're next, like, we don't know what everybody else's circumstances are. We only know what our own are. So really the competition and the battle is with ourselves. And we are so talented. You are, I am, man, like Bobby Joe down the road. I don't know. People can bake, people can cook like the most amazing stew. It baffles me when people like make really yummy soup. I'd like lose my mind. I'm like, what? How do you do that? People play guitar. Some people take photos. I don't know. I like to take photos. I think I take nice photos. Some people take a little, and then I look at other people's photos. I'm like, oh my God, you're amazing. Yeah. And we forever lose sight of that. So yeah, that would be it. Just like, bro, you are amazing. Keep it up.
A great self-compassion piece, Dan. I think we need a lot more of that around the world.
Yeah. I sound so conceited.
No, like people are tough on themselves all the time. And I think it's a great reminder to yourself and everyone else.
Yeah.
Finally, Dan, how could people reach out or learn more about you?
Oh, cool. I'm the least private person in the world. Well, probably not, but I don't know. That's a big claim. Man, hit me up on my socials. I'm sure you're going to put them in the footnotes. So my personal social, Mr. Danny Narvaez, on my Mr. socials, which is who is Mr. For Insta. Hit me up on Facebook. Hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm terrible on LinkedIn, by the way. I don't know, reach out. Like, this is for reals. Anybody, any questions, any conversations, anything about anything, just hit me up. I don't know. I like to talk to people. I like to talk about projects. I like to talk about feelings. I like to talk about food and wine. Ooh, if you've got good wine, shout out to any wine companies. Ooh, Four Pillars was on here before. Hey, shout out to Four Pillars. Michael GM, what up? Shout out to PS40. It was fun. It's funny. You've interviewed a lot of people I know, which and I didn't even know you knew them. Like Nico as well. Oh my God, Nico used to be my coffee chick way back in the day. So cool. Yeah, I don't know. Hit me up. I don't know. I'll be around. Worst case scenario, you'll just see me sitting at a Mayflower trying to grab a coffee or something.
Guys, Dan's a super approachable guy. I highly recommend you reach out for all reasons, whatever you're looking for. He's definitely a great guy to have a conversation with. Dan, mate, this has been an amazing conversation. As always, I love connecting with you. Thank you for an amazing 7-year journey together so far. In the entrepreneurial space, as a friend space, as a brother.
My man.
We've been through so much. We've been brought down to our knees for many things, but we're still fighting through. To us, to the next 7+ years, may we continue to thrive.
My friend, right back at you, man. Thank you for having me. This has been an amazing conversation. I didn't know how this was going to come out, and I realized it came out pretty naturally, so it's really beautiful. Thank you for having me in your life, a friend, a mentor, a brother. It's been a hell of a ride, and hopefully we keep riding it. Guys, keep this guy close to you. Trust me. Yeah, he's one of those people. They talk about those beautiful people that they put on this earth. Kevin Lee's definitely one of those. Anyway,
Much love, my man. Much
keep
love.
listening to this podcast. I don't know. And go to the Mayflower. It's the best.
Man, much love. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend. We'll talk soon.
Talk soon.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show. All the links to the show notes will be available at kevinleesocial.com, spelled KEVINLY. Conversely, if you have any interviews that you'd love to recommend, please send it over to kevinleesocial@gmail.com. I'd love to connect. Thank you. Until the next episode.